tequilaaficionado.com. Oh, what happened?
No, you're good. You're there.
Oh, okay.
You're kind of frozen.
I thought we went off air for just a second.
Yeah,
I think there was a solar flare.
There you go. And you're back.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. There was a brief solar flare.
Film at 11.
You are watching Sipping Off the Cuff, part of tequilaaficionado.com, Tequila Aficionado Media. I'm Alex Perez, and this is my partner in crime, Mike Morales.
Yes, in San Antonio. And boy, did you feel that earthquake?
That was weird.
Oh wait, was that an earthquake or a solar flare? I can't tell.
It was weird. It's like, do the Beatles still exist?
I don't know. I think we went into another timeline. So yeah. It's you, me, and Captain America. So. Alex, tonight we have the distinct pleasure of retasting a resubmission of something that we tasted back when both of us were in California. We actually did this. It's a rarity, folks, when we do a side-by-side.
Must have been about 10 years ago?
No, about 7 years ago, 7 years ago.
Close, yeah.
Yeah, almost 10. We are doing tonight, we are tasting and dissecting Viva Mexico. Now, for those of you who are familiar with this brand, you know that this is a legacy brand from Feliciano Blanco y Asociados. This is coming from one of our favorite distilleries.
Blanco family.
Yeah. This was for those of you who may have been watching some of the old that was the bottle that we had. This is a liter bottle, by the way. This is where we tasted the first time. My very first time was in Mexico. I think your first time was also in Mexico. The label was completely different.
You still have juice in there?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all gone. Are you kidding? It's a liter bottle. But I have the largest collection of empties. And this was going to be imported by a company out of Houston that owns another brand, but it never happened.
Wow.
Never happened. We were lucky that their then marketing person sent these to me, and Alex and I got together and we did a whole dissection of the original Viva Mexico, which the only difference was at that time was the new labeling. The old labeling, for those of you that remember the old labeling, it's kind of rustic, but it's a classic rustic. Everybody who's ever had this tequila remembers those bottles. And I think in Mexico, you can still get them with that. They're the red, white, and green label. Okay.
Still 1414.
Yep.
Nice.
What we know about 1414, the thing that we love about it is that they use the Mozart method of fermentation. That means, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, is that they play classical music during fermentation. And I have visited this distillery one time, and I tell this story, a fascinating story, because the manager of the place, I asked him, I said, do you think it's a little weird that you play music when you're fermenting? He goes, I'm a very practical guy. And he is. He says, but I'm a numbers guy. If I didn't do the numbers, I would never believe it. But we produce more tequila when we play the classical music than when we don't. And so for him, the bottom line was we produce more. The Vivanco family has, in fact, what do they give a history on the? You got POS on this.
Fifth generation.
Yeah.
Vivanco is fifth generation. Obviously, these guys are from Highlands.
Yes, from Arandas is the information that we have. And like I say, I've been there one time. I actually met the Don Feliciano before he passed away. What a guy. Just an amazing guy, and always smiling. There's classic pictures. He's kind of like the Don Julio, of that era, that generation. I guess they were contemporaries as well.
Nice.
They started as the back of the label here says they started as agave growers back in 1929.
Right.
I can't say enough about this tequila, but we're gonna taste it. We're gonna retaste it again because I know it's been about almost a decade since
Yeah.
Alex tasted the first
Says
time.
it's a family recipe dating back to 1929.
I believe it.
Amazing.
I believe it. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Mozart method, it is a technique that is applied by a couple of chemical engineers, Leopoldo Solis and his partner Gabriel Spindola, and they're famous. These guys,
You've interviewed.
yeah, these guys are they there are a couple of things that they do that is indicative of their method, their style of tequila. One of them, oh look at that shampoo bubbles, man! You can see I've had a little bit of this. Their method is that they not only do they play um, Mozart, but they also you like to use champagne yeast as an inoculator. My understanding is they do use open air fermentation, and there's a layout of some sort that I haven't been able to pinpoint yet about where they put the speakers while they play Vivaldi. They play classical music, which is technically Baroque um, uh, and classical. So
Yeah. So obviously it has something to do with the vibrations, huh?
yeah,
So those yeast must be happy eating away.
well, the other distillery, there's several distilleries that use that technique, and one of them was San Nicolas, which is where they make now. Campari owns it, and they have the stainless steel tanks, these big, huge tanks, at the fermentation tanks, and that's how the engineer, the ingeniero there, the master distiller has described it, that it's the vibration of the music that allows the yeast to do its job. So, and when you see the size of those tanks at San Nicolas, you realize it's got a lot of job to do because that's a lot of tequila, man. What are you getting?
You know Oropesa, isn't it?
Yeah, Cirillo Oropesa, and when Campari bought the distillery and they bought Espolon,
Yeah.
they
One of my
they
favorites.
they left him there, and then they brought Cabo Wabo, and they're making Cabo Wabo, which is actually improved since moving to that distillery, which is rare because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, they used to have Corazon there too.
Yeah, Corazon moved to Casa San Matias, another great distillery.
Yeah.
What are we getting from this right now? I'm getting a lot of floral and fruit.
I'm getting floral, I'm getting fruit, I'm getting citrus too. I get a little lime notes, white pepper, not too much green, more on the citrusy, peppery side.
If anyone's ever been to that distillery, you realize that it's surrounded by citrus trees, orange trees, and I was told by David Suro, who has Siembra Azul there, that the secret to the distillery and to the fermentation is all the fruit trees in the area, that because it's open air fermentation that bloom. So all they're saying that everything in the atmosphere influences what goes into the tequila um, during the fermentation period. So um,
So they pick up all that terroir.
yeah, and all the atmospheric
Yeah.
bacteria that's there.
All that red clay in the background. That's a beautiful distillery.
Yeah, it is. It's very. It's amazing how much history there is. It's very. I'll put it right up there on par with La Alteña. There's really something special about it, you know.
Well, it's very clean, very clean, crisp.
Well,
Very
look at how pretty. Look at how pretty it is.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm using Mostazo Jarrito, and Alex is using his Glencairn. I say we dive in.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We're not just clearing our throats, folks. If you're listening to us on our podcasting, what we're doing is what they call a retronasal technique. We're actually smelling and tasting it again from inside our heads and our noses. I like that explosion of the pepper, like at mid palate and then toward the rear.
It's very pleasant. I get some nice yeast too. It's not overbearing or anything, but I can tell on my palate somewhere, or maybe it's in the retro. But no, beautiful coating of the palate.
Wow.
Nice oil on the palate.
Mm-hmm. Nice legs and tears too. This is just it's clean. It's all just natural. There's nothing.
And for a Blanco, not hot. At least not too hot on the palate for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the pepper explosion happens to the middle and the rear.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
How's the finish? Is the finish kind of short to medium?
Finish short to medium, yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. You don't. That's right. You don't have any of this. I gotta say that it's as delicious as I remember. It is. I don't think they've changed it at all, and they never. This is the flagship brand of the distillery, so it's not something that they would change. As a matter of fact, I think Alex and I have talked when we discussed some tequilas from that distillery, like Cabeza, for instance, which was a high proof. It will no longer exist, boys and girls. Cabeza's gone, but I liked it because it was at a higher ABV. So to me, it tasted like Viva Mexico, but much more amplified. And if you remember anything about Cabeza, that bottle was designed for the bar trade, and they came in much larger sizes and great for cocktails. I mean, that's what it was designed for.
Oh yeah.
And it was outstanding. It was just wow. It's like, wait, I know this flavor profile. It's Viva Mexico at a higher ABV.
Yeah.
So I could drink this at 80 proof or drink it at a higher rate than 80 proof, but
Nice. It's a nice Blanco.
yeah, it is. So what would somebody say to me? This was a good example of a Highlands tequila, but it does have a very
a little bit more tropical fruits. The very bottom.
I get the citrus notes, but it isn't even so much lime as I think it's like orange or tangerine or something. It's not.
Yeah, it is more of a citrus.
Not limey.
No, I'm getting now, actually with an empty glass, I'm getting some deeper fruit notes.
Wow.
More of the tropical.
Well, that's why we tell people, to experiment. Don't wash your glass when you're done. Let it sit over. Sometimes you let it añejos or reposados sit overnight. Once an empty glass, and you can smell whether the notes are real or not. I love it. I think I don't know about you, but I have to nominate this as a brand of promise.
Brand of promise. Well, this should be
in the legacy category.
I agree.
What do you think of the new packaging?
I like the packaging. I really like the way they've wrapped it.
Yeah. My Blanco was unwrapped.
It is a little thin, so it'll rip. But I mean, obviously, these traveled in a box for us.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think it's really nice packaging.
Yeah, I think it's very different to cover up the bottle because I would imagine, and I haven't seen them on the shelves because I very rarely ever visit the liquor stores anymore. But I'd imagine that they sit on the shelf like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because and if you look at the watermark on the paperwork, that is the old logo and symbol of Viva Mexico, which was the eagle. The eagle was very much a part of the old logo.
Right.
And it's in the watermark. As a matter of fact, as we go through these Tequila Viva Mexico 100% puro de agave, yeah, it's a symbolic of the eagle.
You know what's nice too, Mike, is the wrapping is actually different from the bottle.
Yeah, I noticed.
It's not a copy of what's on the bottle.
No, yeah, it's a whole different. It's a whole different font.
Yeah. Or just larger, but you got the eagle logo is much bigger. No, it's a nice touch. I like the.
Yeah, I do too. It's unusual. You don't see bottles wrapped in paper, and I'm not sure what kind of paper this is. If it's a tissue or if it's I don't think it's agave paper, but in any case, stick with us because what we're going to do is we're going to wind up tasting and dissecting the rest of the line, and it's been a while since, like I say, it's been almost 10 years since I've had any of the other two iterations. So that's our take.
You know, it's interesting on this. I peeled back the sticker on the paper, so they must use the same wrap for Mexico and U.S.
No kidding. All right.
Sticker was covering up the 38 proof.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, yeah, because 38 proof. 38 proof is what some people call.
I'm sorry, 38 ABV.
Yeah. Well, it's the 38 is what some people consider Mexican bottling, but in the United States, the alcohol has to be at 80 proof, 40 ABV. But in Mexico, it can be typically they're at 38.
That's right. That's right. Very good.
So there we go. That's our take on Viva Mexico.
Viva Mexico.
Brand Promise nominee. And by the way, this is an award winner from the Concours de Bruxelles, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was in 2016. So this is a gold medal winner internationally. But, stick with us because we'll be talking about the Reposado and the Añejo shortly. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That gentleman out there is
Alex Perez in Southern California. Thanks for watching Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media. And as always, sip wisely.